thunderstorm this afternoon. Tomorrow, though, lots of clouds and showers and storms. 84 tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Terry Smith from the Weather Channel for Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
Currently 88 degrees in Sparrows Point, 88 in Pasadena, and 90 in Glen Burnie. I'm Maggie Hunter, 680 WCBM News.
It's time to listen to you, the listeners. Go to WCBM.com and vote on WCBM's latest poll. It's fun, it's fast, and let us know what you want more of on WCBM.com. Baltimore is listening.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, opinion-leading, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is The Rob Carson Show.
This is The Rob Carson Show. Here's the number, 800-922-6680. We've got a lot of stuff on the plate today. The plate was just loaded up with a whole bunch of stuff, including Kamala Harris choosing Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota as her running mate, which is so beyond tone deaf to particularly black people and Jews. I mean, it is remarkable when you think about it. It is amazing, and I just did an appearance on Newsmax to kind of digest all of this, because I'm going to tell you, if you were worried about Kamala Harris making good decisions, she completely blew that out of the water. Apparently, she was inspired by the Olympics, because she sprinted away from her leftism and said that she was no longer, in favor of banning fracking and no longer in favor of this and that, and then she got halfway around the track and passed the baton to Tim Walz, who's a radical leftist socialist, and he sprinted back around. So right now you've got the most radical socialist ticket in the history of the party. It is looking very much like 1968 when Hubert Humphrey was on the ticket from Minnesota, and the Democrats got their asses handed to them. So this is just amazing. I mean, it is remarkable how tone deaf this pick was. I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I think God has a sense of humor. There's something going on here that she would pick this guy, who, by the way, is further left than Bernie Sanders and 100% not Jewish. He is a younger version of Bernie Sanders, further left, and 100% Jewish free. It is amazing. You look at today, Israel is under the threat of bombardment from Iran and Hezbollah. You look at Kamala Harris, who refused to meet Benjamin Netanyahu at the airport in Washington, D.C., and then would not grace him with her presence in the well of the House for a speech. And then, who does she pick on the day that Israel faces its biggest threat? She picks a white socialist of German genealogy. She picks a white German socialist. And not only that, a white German socialist who was the leader of his state as thousands of businesses were burned to the ground by leftists. I mean, this is so delicious. I can even taste it. It's like, what is that? What is that? Oh, it smells like victory. It just smells like victory. And then you've got all of the things that he has said and done as the terrible governor of the state of Minnesota, like this just a couple days ago.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
That is true, and socialism only left 100 million people in body pits last century. Yeah, isn't that just wonderful? Isn't that just delightful? Let's get to know Tim Walz. This is Logan Patrick on Newsmax this morning. Here is the VP pick from Kamala Harris. And real quick, I want to mention this. Last week, there were 2 Zoom calls that I said teed up who supports Kamala Harris. Okay, there was a radical leftist cul-de-sac Karens. And then on the other side, it was white dudes for Kamala who are emasculated men. So you've got white, liberal, cul-de-sac Karens, and they're emasculated men. And I said, that is Kamala Harris's marriage. And now, it's her ticket. This is it. Because, see, this is so fabulous. I can't believe it. I lived in Minneapolis, and I did morning radio in the mid-'90s there. And there were this group of women who would call up, and they were always offended about everything. And I call them the Dawn Patrol. And they were white, liberal women, and they were always the first people to step up and be offended for other people. If you talk about a Native American mascot, they would call in and say, I think it's very offensive that they're Native American mascots. And you say, are you a Native American? And they say, no, but I know somebody is. And they're always willing to step in. These are the same people who, when George Floyd died from fentanyl and cocaine in his system and Minneapolis burned, they were the same people who said, oh no, black people, we've got this, let's defund the police. And black people are like, no, don't do that. No, I've got this. And then they took it further and they said, we got to get rid of the Land O'Lakes Indian on the butter, which is Land O'Lakes is Minnesota, by the way. We got to get rid of the Dixie Chicks, and we got to get rid of the Washington Redskins, and we got to get rid of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. This is so glorious. This is so spectacular. I just can't even begin. This is karma. This is karma. This is proof that God has a sense of humor. I really mean that. I really, I'm not saying it's it's kind of a dark sense of humor when you think about it. But here is this little package from Logan Patrick today on Newsmax.
Exiting a conflict is never going to be good. That situation was horrific. There were Minnesotans on the ground that were providing aid to that.
When Walz was in the National Guard, he was also a geography teacher at Mankato West High School, where he was the faculty advisor for the school's first Gay-Straight Alliance Club. And as governor, Walz signed an executive order for gender-altering care.
Yeah, he's still down with that, with the mutilation of children and all the hormones and the radical surgery that makes children into lifelong eunuchs.
Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health care is essential to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
Yeah.
What this is going to mean is we're also going to be good neighbors. Minnesota is to provide and us to receive gender-affirming health care.
And we won't tell your parents about it if you're a student.
Services.
In the aftermath of the assassination attempt on former President Trump, Republicans and Democrats have called for lowering the rhetorical temperature.
Yeah.
But Walz is not abiding.
No.
Since January 6th, Republicans have tried to destroy our electoral system, and there's no sense of protecting the democracy.
Governor Walz has best captured the attention of progressives, including Pramila Jayapal, the chairwoman of the Congressional Progressive.
Oh, and did you know also that Minneapolis is the heart of radical Islam outside of Michigan? Did you know that? Because Ilhan Omar's district is there, and it's a massive Somali district that is very pro-radical Islam and anti-Jewish.
Caucus. And he's being credited for popularizing Democrats' recent trend of calling Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance and former President Donald Trump.
Have you ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me. That is weird behavior. That was the difference there. And look, I applaud Joe Biden. I think he made the right decision in terms of where he's at and the ability to prosecute this case against Donald Trump's weirdness.
Yeah, speaking of weirdness, here's a brand new commercial that just dropped.
What could be weirder than signing a bill into law that requires schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms?
Yeah, that's weird.
Or weirder than signing legislation allowing minors to receive sex change operations? Try electing the man who signed those bills Vice President of the United States.
Wow.
Enter Chief Weirdo Tim Walz.
And by the way, her pick could not be whiter. I mean, as white as rice. I mean, whiter than white on rice. Unbelievably white guy.
As governor of Minnesota, Walz supported legislation that endangers minors, hurts women, and puts radical ideology ahead of common sense. Now Kamala wants Walz to enforce those laws on a national scale. Tim Walz, too weird, too radical.
Oh yeah, he is beyond weird. Here is Tim Walz talking about Trump's wall and saying that walls don't work, and saying if they're going to build the wall, then he'll just invest in a ladder company.
And I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
Oh, wow, this is amazing. And here he is signing into law driver's licenses for everybody, including illegal aliens.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
Oh, that is just fantastic. And then the pièce de résistance says the butt is coming off the rose of DEI. Again, like any good white emasculated male, he is completely down with it.
A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at. This is a moment of inflection. It's a moment of real change. It's a moment that those folks who are out there demanding this are not going to take a commission or a report. They're going to want fundamental change. And that is what I think, that's one of the exciting things in the midst of all this. You can feel a sense of optimism coming back.
80% of us believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. I've said that. 80% of us are going to come together to save the country. I've used the expression homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews coming together. Well, the Democrat Party and Kamala Harris have just alienated all of them. Absolutely every single one of them. The homeboys with the opening of the southern border and the flooding of particularly inner city neighborhoods with the illegals to give them all sorts of benefits while black men struggle. And then you've got the Hebrews, which is, they just said, on the day that Israel is the most threatened by Iran, she chooses a white German socialist as her running mate, who presided over his state when leftists burned down thousands of businesses. I mean, honestly, this is like a Hollywood script. Let's choose the worst thing we could choose, okay? And then there are even people in Minnesota who are going, hey, I don't think it's such a good idea, there.
He used to be what I'd call a middle-of-the-road Democrat. Now he's a straight-up socialist.
Yeah, and the Minnesota, in case you didn't know, I'm well-versed in Minnesota. Minnesota is run by the DFL, the Democrat Farmers and Laborers Party. While Tim Walz was the governor, he replaced the Minnesota state flag with one that looks just like the Somali flag. This is spectacular. Even Van Jones is freaking today about this, thinking he made a mistake. But I'd love to hear what you think, and I've got a lot of audio from what Tim Walz did to Minnesota, which is terrible, and what he's going to do to the ticket, which is awesome, because it's going to really, it's not going to be good. Here's the number, 800-922-6680. This is The Rob Carson Show.